Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Star Wars Episode 9, the last return of the last Skywalker, something, who cares? So this is going to be a spoiler review because, honestly, probably everything that I'm going to say in this anyway, you've probably heard somewhere else if you watched a bunch of reviews or a commentary about Star Wars, and let me tell you, there's a lot. But this is just, I rewatched 7, 8, and now 9 recently, and I wanted to share my thoughts about it. So this is spoiler review of episode 9. So, stars the same people, whatever. You get the idea. They bring back Kylo Ren's helmet, and this time they're calling it a mask. It's clearly a fucking helmet. Like, let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that it was more of a helmet or more of a mask? Pretty sure, I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure they called it a helmet in episode 7. But the fact they're calling it a mask in this one, I feel like it's more of a helmet. Whatever. But they bring it back, and instead of just being like, hey, he just, made a new one, or got it out of the helmet drawer from wherever there's shit tons of helmets in Star Wars, especially from the First Order and the Republic and the Empire and all that jazz. Helmets galore. He could have just, let me just open up my drawer of helmets and get out and do it. No. They're going to do the whole, Japanese kitsugi thing or whatever the fuck it's called, where you had, the gold inlay to show, the cracks or whatever from when you put it back together. They're going to do that, but in red, because, he's evil. And so not only are they going to draw attention to, yes, he remade the same mask. You don't think Darth Vader had extra masks? Or helmets? Pretty sure he did. Whatever. But so, not only are you going to make a thing of it about having the red stuff there, you're also going to literally have someone, comment on it, be like, oh, you're wearing the mask again. Yeah, you want to say something about it? Nope, looks great, looks fine. What are you, the people making the movie? The customer or the people watching are like, so you're going to bring back the mask? Yeah, you want to say something about it? Nope, it's fine. You can keep the mask on. Whatever. So, if you somehow lived under a rock for the entirety of what happened in 7, 8, and 9, 7 was directed by J.J. Abrams. Then he was busy with other things, so Rian Johnson directed episode 8. And then I think they brought J.J. Abrams back for 9. So, 7, he clearly had a direction that he was going with. 8, Rian Johnson was like, hey, everything you set up in episode 7, fuck you. I'm going to do the exact opposite and make all of that pointless. And so, you have a direction in 7. And Rian Johnson comes in and is like, nah, fuck you. Going this way. And so J.J. Abrams was comes in and he's like, nope. We're going back the exact direction that I was saying. So I'm going to unfuck all of your fuckery as much as I can, even if it doesn't make sense. Anywho, some other things that I did like, though. I do like the new outfits for Finn and Poe. While I do like that Finn was wearing Poe's jacket in the first, and I think the second one, 7 and 8, would have been kind of weird if he continued to wear, only that jacket. So, and I did like the outfit choices that they made for him. I did also like the good chase sequence. Now, it didn't make all that much sense. Lightspeed skipping, even though we made a big deal about, having to get out of this, that, and the other thing before initiating lightspeed and yada, yada, yada. And yeah, they were like, oh, you can't light skip speed the Falcon. I just did. Sure, but you're introducing it, you are changing the mechanics of things to be a cool visual scene. And I feel like it's a disservice to the Star Wars universe. Much like how in, spoilers for 8, how that, and I probably should have mentioned 8, but fuck it, we're here now. How she did the turn and then the light speed thing visually and even audibly, because they just muted the whole, they were music and intensity and yada, yada, and then there's silence. Visually, audibly, in the moment, that was a fucking cool scene. Just amazing. Visually, it was just oh shit. And then you just got 4 Star Cruisers, Star Destroyers as well. That's, oh shit. That was amazing looking. Completely breaks the universe. So they've had to bend over backwards. I read some trivia just this time to try and be what is their reason that has worked? And that they didn't say, oh, I don't know, do that to the Death Star with 1 X-Wing, or to the second Death Star with 1 X-Wing, or to, Star Killer Base with one X-Wing. Like, why have we waited until now to magic through something? And yeah, they even tried to like cover it up in this one by being like, somebody was like, oh, we need to holdo maneuver those things. And the guy's like, that was a 1 in a million shot. Like, fuck you. If it was 1 in a million shot, why would she bother doing it? That's stupid. That is just, you can't break the universe's physics, which is basically what 8 did. They're like, oh, tracking beacon, first time ever. Except it's been in all the other movies too, basically. Oh, weird. And then, oh, we're going to light speed through somebody. But, so dumb. Sorry. Get back to this movie. So, fucking C-3PO has an even bigger part in this movie. And I've said it for these 7, 8. I'm going to say it for 9. I'm going to say it for 1, 2, 3. And if I rewatch 4, 5, and 6 as well, I'm going to say it there too. But fuck C-3PO. Every time he's on screen is the worst time to be watching this movie. I hate him so much. He is the worst. Fuck that guy. It is cool to see Rey do the healing thing. I like that they actually see somebody doing something different with it that we haven't seen. Like in 7, we saw him stop the blaster bolt, but in this one, I like that she's able to heal. Some people don't. As a character, I like Rey. I like overpowered characters, so I'm totally fine with her just knowing all the things. I mean, Luke had like 5 minutes of lightsaber training and was doing alright for himself in episode 4. Just saying. But yeah, so I like that she did the healing thing because I feel like that should have been a Force thing for forever ago. And I really like seeing how that she's having this struggle session with Kylo Ren. You know, they're both trying to take this cruiser or do something with the cruiser. Like, she's trying to take down, I think he's had to push it up or at least trying to get away from her. So they're struggling. She's just like putting all of her strength in, and then that is when she Force lightnings. Now, it sucks that she almost killed Chewie, but I really like that, hey, you know, she is so strong in the Force, and like how she is channeling the Force. Like, basically, Force lightning is somebody who is just able to channel that much Force energy, and that creates the lightning. And I really like that concept, because the only other real time that we saw the Force lightning was with Darth Sidious in 5 or 6, when he was just like, bah, bah. And it just, like, yeah, it was a devastating attack, but it wasn't like, it didn't seem like efforting for him, you know? So it's just like, okay, is that just a dark side thing that you can just, bah? And then, yeah, we saw Count Dooku just be like, boo, boo, in episode 2. Spoiler alerts for episode 2, sorry. But, you know, it didn't have the same effect of like, okay, this is somebody who is like, that is how they developed the ability to do Force lightning. So I like that. Getting back to the things that I didn't like. Hux being the spy is stupid, given his speech in episode 7. And yeah, they try to make it make sense where he's like, I don't need you guys to win, I just want Kylo to lose. I feel like if he was a member of, I don't know, the KKK, and he wanted to be the Grand Master Wizard, whatever the fuck they're called, he wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm going to team up with these black people so that it can help these black people so that Grand Master Wizard can be fired so that I can take over. Even though, oh, look, the black people just took out all of our people. Gosh, darn. But that's okay, because now I get to be Grand Master Wizard of the not anybody that's left department. It's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense. So, no, not buying it. Also, Rey being a Palpatine, like, again, so they were building towards something in 7, and then Rian Johnson was like, nah, fuck your shit. And J.J. Abrams was like, no, we're gonna, because in this one it's like, oh, who are your parents? What is your mysterious origin? And then in 8, it's like, your parents were nobody and nothing, and they didn't matter, they were just people. And then in this one, like, no, fuck that. Okay, maybe her parents were nothing, but her granddad was a fucking Palpatine, right? Yeah, that's what'll make this work. No, nope, don't buy it. It's a disagreement between J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. And honestly, like, there's very few things that I liked about what Rian Johnson did. But him making it so that, like, you don't have to be fucking anybody to be uber powerful with the Force. It was so refreshing. Because you shouldn't have to be a Skywalker or a Palpatine to be strong with the Force. I liked that at the end of episode 8, the little kid was like, whoop, let me just force power over the broom or whatever so I can push around. Like that I liked, because again, I don't think you should have to be a Skywalker or Palpatine to be powerful with the Force. So her being a Palpatine is the midichlorians of this episode. Episode 1 had midichlorians, which did not need to happen and were stupid to do a thing for it. That's what they did with it. Like, Palpatine-ness is episode 9's midichlorians. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, yeah. Also, some of the fight scenes, like the fact that they were fighting, like her and Kylo or whatever, like the fact that they were fighting makes almost no sense. But the waves around them, so when they're on the remnants of the Death Star, you know, Kylo and her are fighting, it basically doesn't make sense. Like, the reason why they are fighting is because she wants to go, he doesn't want her to go, she's gonna do the thing, but he's like, no, don't go to the place I already know about, even though I can follow you there. Like, I'm telling you not to go, join me, but don't join, but she's gonna be like, no, but then they're gonna fight. Like, it was like a shittier version of the Captain America Civil War airport fight. Like, none of those superheroes wanted to actually hurt each other. They were friends, having like a brawl to like settle their differences, but none of them were going for the kill shot, on purpose anyway. And in this one, that's why I think their fighting is so stupid, because you're fighting with laser swords. There's not a lot of oopsie, I went too far and didn't kill you moments that can happen. So the fact that they're fighting is stupid. However, the waves around them, like the CGI of the waves and just the environment and the water and the whoosh, I'm sure it was a shitty time filming with all that water going through the actors, but I thought it was excellently CGI'd, it was well choreographed, and it was an excellent use of the environment. So props to them, not for like the reason behind the fight, but the fight execution was well done. But speaking of that planet, aren't they just so lucky, or should I say unlucky, that somehow the Falcon just happened to get just far enough onto the planet, but couldn't make a soft landing, so had to do a hard landing, so they couldn't fly the next mile or two through the water to land on the remnants of the Death Star. Nope. You had to come up with a reason for them to be there. And then these people, which are fighting the Empire in their own way, type of whatever bullshit, somehow have zero aircraft. Not a one. So they have to take the boat over there to make this longer. Sure. And speaking of things that just are so convenient and lucky and whatever else, is that, so Leia, who had never had any Force power shown, well, I mean, like, other than communication with Luke, but, like, she'd never done any training or whatever. So they do this flashback scene to be like, oh, yeah, no, she was training with this green lightsaber, and then was like, oh, I'm gonna die, or my son's gonna kill somebody, or there's gonna be a thing, and there's a quest, and blah, 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 so I don't need, I'm gonna stop training because I have a destiny type of thing. First of all, fuck off with that. Of her Force fight, like, saber training whatsoever. Fuck off with it being green. And, like, they make a point of, like, in the flashback, the lightsaber that she is using is green. And the flashback is what they are using to establish that she had a lightsaber. And then, when Rey or Adam Driver, whichever one actually used Leia's lightsaber, it's blue. Because both lightsabers were blue. Both Luke's lightsaber, which was, again, ripped in half in episode 8, and this lightsaber were both blue, even though they showed it as being green. Go fuck yourself with your shitty continuity and lazy writing. And then also, speaking of lazy writing, like, I'm fine, I guess, with the hundreds of Star Destroyers that they managed to create in secret with no one else knowing about it. Find it hard to believe, but, you know, they made the G.I. Joe base underwater in G.I. Joe 2 that nobody seemed to know about either, so sure, we'll give you that. That's equally believable for that excellent movie. But the fact that they're like, oh, hey, this one object, like this satellite dish that we need to destroy, so that otherwise they don't run into each other, because, quote, the ships don't know what way is up. Yeah, sure. It's just a shame that not a single one of these ships have a window anywhere on them. to be able to see. Or like, even just like, I don't know, some water in a cup. Be like, oh, hey, maybe level out a little bit. Hey, maybe, oh, you look out the left window. You see how there's a ship there? Don't continue to the left and hit it. Seems easy enough. Like, this whole concept of like, oh, the one thing that we have. And like, then they even go so far as like, oh, okay, so that one thing is the thing that's controlling all of them to make sure they don't crash to the ground because the ships don't know one way is up. But we also have another one of those satellite dishes on a ship that will then control the rest of them. If the ships don't know what way is up, how is that going to help keep them from hitting the ground? I get maybe you could have argued that that's how they avoid hitting each other, but if they can detect that, why can't the rest of their shit work? It's very lazy writing to be like, oh, you just need to detect the one thing, like in every Star Wars movie out there of like, take out the Death Star, take out the Death Star 2, take out the Starkiller Base. At least 8, they weren't like trying to get the one weakness, they just broke the physics laws that they'd established for that, sure. And then in this one, they're like, oh, we just need to hit the one thing to take out this massive super weapon. Like, oh, that's dumb. It's so dumb. It's also stupid to have Poe and Finn not end up together because I will say that in this one, they at least did a better job of reinforcing their friendship in this one, because in 7, they were clearly going to end up together. Then in 8, Rian Johnson was like, other people for your interest, yeah. And then in 9, they're like, okay, sure, we'll go with the other interest, but y'all have good friendship. So I like that they at least reinforced the friendship, whereas in 8, I was severely lacking in their interactions, which they had such good chemistry together. And I am glad that they backseated Rose in this one, because she was fucking terrible in 8. So I'm glad they very much sidelined her in this one and introduced somebody else, because Rose was terrible. So again, towards the end, Rey she pried up this piece of junk to like snowboard down this very gradual and pretty fucking short incline. Why? That just seems like okay, I don't want to just have kind of a couple of big gangly steps down. I'm gonna yoink this out, sit on it, and go boop, boop. Okay, that was a fun 10-foot ride. Like, were they setting up a roller coaster or thing of like, oh, Rey's sand dune ride? I don't know, but it was stupid. And maybe I'm just nitpicking at this point, but I feel like they made enough of a thing about it that I'm gonna make a thing about it. Anywho, why was she wrapping the sabers? Just keep them on you. Then we had a whole episode of people trying to find Luke with his lightsaber, like for the lightsaber thing. Just keep them. You don't need to bury them somewhere. And then also that old ass lady who was somehow magically there seconds after you finished, or probably, I don't know, while you were digging the hole and burying the mysterious objects. She definitely fucking saw you bury that shit, and 10 seconds after you're gone, she's gonna be like, what treasure did this person bury here? Let me just dig that shit up. Oh, look, lightsabers. Nearly, immeasurable wealth from these fantastical magic saber swords. Yeah, so another reason not to bury your shit. It's just dumb. I will say, I did like that she integrated her, little staff thingy into the yellow lightsaber. I thought that was neat, and I did appreciate that, and I did like how she activated the saber, as well as just the fact that it was yellow. I know that in Star Wars, maybe canon, there's, all these different meanings to the different sabers, but as somebody who just watches the live-action shit, blue and green are good, red is bad, purple is Mace Windu. I think I saw the occasional yellow in episode 2. I don't remember for sure, but anywho, yellow is uncommon. Black gets heavier when you don't kill people with it or something. And then Ahsoka had a white saber for some reason. I don't know, but whatever. So yeah. Also, I do think it's kind of funny that at the end when she's like, "Oh, I'm Rey Skywalker," just pointing out that she was basically boyfriend girlfriend with Kylo Ren at this point, or should I say, Ben Solo / Skywalker, so she's kind of taking her boyfriend's mom's name. Like, I don't know, she's changed her last name. Just saying. But again, we are still reinforcing the Palpatine Skywalkers are special thing, and that's dumb. So this episode was definitely the worst, in my opinion. But and whatever, since we're at this point, I don't remember if it was 7. No, it was, if it was 8 or 9. I think it was 8. But the like lightsaber battle between Luke and Kylo Ren was pretty badass. I was fooled by it in theaters the first time I watched it. Like, I didn't realize he was force projecting until the reveal, and I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. Yeah, so I like that part. And yeah, so the visuals, like the CGI is on point with these, and the scale of them appropriately large. But storyline, things that make sense, continuity errors, that sort of thing, none of that really works. Bringing back Palpatine was stupid, but I did appreciate it more this time around, because I think this is only like maybe the second time that I've watched episode 9. I did appreciate it more this time around. Like, I thought it made a little bit more sense than I initially thought. I still don't like that you never saw the rest of the Sith's faces in the crowd thing, and I also still think that the amount of like lightning to like light up his face at different angles was way too distracting, and just in general how dark that segment was dumb and overly dark. But I did like that they once again established just how powerful Darth Sidious is when he's just like, hey, you know how you have those thousands of ships out there? I'm gonna just go ahead and take them down single-handedly with my Force lightning. So that was badass. I'm like, okay, I get it. That's a Palpatine thing. I don't think your average Force user could do that level of damage, and how it was just targeting the bad guy ships, I thought that was kind of fun. So that was a good aspect. And then also the number of ships. So it was a little odd that they had a couple of sequences of like the heroes going through, like the first run, and then the other guy, like I think it was Rey going through, and then the rest of them following her from like the initial 400 rebels or whatever, going through this very, very densely packed, chaotic, like having to super steer around things space. So I guess you could argue that that's why people haven't seen the Sith before. It's just because getting through there is difficult. But then, mere hours later, minutes later, but I think in movie it was maybe hours later, suddenly there's thousands of good guy ships and freighters and whatever else that's going to be attacking the Star Destroyers. Did all of those make it through? Like, it seemed like it was pretty tight quarters in there, and to get that number of people through there, I don't know about that. That stretches believability. And if you're gonna have all those ships come through there, why would you establish that it's such a difficult route with all this debris and red lighting and stuff coming through? I feel like there's a lot of pilots that aren't that great out there, but you seem to make it seem like you needed a really good pilot to get through to get there. Whatever. I will say that I liked the number of ships they showed, because that is what the rebellion should have been sized-wise to begin with, to take out the First Order or even the Empire. Because that number of ships is much more believable than 400 people making up the entirety of the rebellion from Episode 8. Stupid. Yeah, so, yeah. That's the end of the sequel trilogy. Yeah. Episode 7's good, because it's episode 4, but with better graphics. These other two, not so much. But it's a great example of that, A, you can still make billions of dollars without a plan, and B, have a fucking plan. If you're going to have a planned trilogy, like you know you're going to do 3 movies, maybe map them out. Have an outline of these are the story, these are the main things we want to hit. Here's where they're going to slice to make 3 different movies. Maybe do that. Maybe you won't have such a shitty, zigzaggy product. But that's really all I have for this one. Hopefully you either enjoyed my presence or I pointed out something that you hadn't noticed before. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.